Hello everyone, this is NQ Ripley and NQ Nyota.
Welcome to Ask Aphelia and part 2 of our new player question episode. Let's dive right in. What's a voxel library and where do I get one?
A Voxel library is a set of honeycomb shapes that a builder has put into separate dynamic constructs so that they can copy-paste them into whatever they're building. So for example, a builder might have made a really cool set of corridor shapes, with corner corridors, with sides, with windows, and with openings for doors. And they'll use this to create a series of corridors, a building, and a ship. And you can find these voxel libraries for sale in players' showrooms or on ducreators.org.
How do I get starter money?
So there are several ways you could really do this. Now it's important to remember that Haven territory is free, for example. So if you start out, anything you build there, you can just operate it. There are no overhead costs. There's no upkeep costs there. It's pure profit. You can collect surface ore in your territories there. You can actually collect surface ore on any major planets as well. You could run mining units and get the output from those. You could sell that to other players if you so decide. You could go and do the challenges that we have in the game, which are accessible through the VR station. You could do missions, which are all accessible through the mission interface, which do require you to have a ship of some sort in most cases. And even the tutorials offer a small amount of quanta and talent points if you complete them. So that's a good way to start early in the game and get your first sort of leg in.
What is an emergency control unit, or ECU, and how does it work?
Well, you see, the emergency control unit is a controller, so it can be programmed in Lua. This one can be armed for a situational trigger. If a player arms his ECU before he sits down at the control of his ship, it will activate as soon as the player leaves his seat. This is specially designed to learn your ship when you leave your seat, or to maintain your speed in spaceflight. And of course, this is applicable to many other situations, so you are free to make a good use of it.
What are headquarter tiles?
Okay, so a headquarter territory is simply a territory that's not released from your ownership when the upkeep runs out. That means on a headquarter territory that even if you don't pay the upkeep costs of maintaining the territory, it remains yours and your constructs are essentially safe on there. You can have, I might be wrong here at this point because I try to remember these numbers all the time, but there are many numbers to remember. I believe currently you can have up to 3. And there is only one condition where you might lose one, and that is if you remain unsubscribed for more than 3 months. At that point, just like inactive asset requisition system that we have in place, any headquarters territories that are not on Haven, you can't actually headquarter territory on Haven, but any territory on other planets that is set as a headquarter will lose its headquarter status after 3 months of no subscription, and that allows the territory to free up for other people again.
I would like to be a builder, pirate, mega industry CEO, organization ringleader, expert pilot, and many other roles. What talents should I queue up and focus on first as a new player? Should I try being a generalist and just queue everything?
So with talents, it all comes down to what you like and what you like to do. Start with your avatar talents. Running faster and jumping higher is a lot more fun no matter what kind of player you're going to be. But then after that, you have to figure out what you need. Do you want to fly around a lot? Do you want to fly into space? Do you want to fly, from planets to other planets? Then you're going to have to research the flying talents, of course. If you want to be a industrialist, then you should start looking at the industry talents and start researching those. A trick that I have is that I would research the first 3 very quickly. So your you're covering a good boost in that area. And then the two others are for talents that I really want to be good at. So I like to pilot, so I'm going to max out my piloting talents, but then also have reasonable, mining talents and things like that, because I like to do that as well. So as you can imagine, I'm a proponent of specialization, because the further you research a specific set of skills, the more fun that activity is. To me, the game is just too big to be a generalist.
What's an anti-gravity generator?
Whoa, this is a bit of an advanced topic, and most players don't really get those in the early days, but you can place an anti-gravity generator on ships which are size medium or large. You also need a few pulsars to go with it. That depends on the different sizes of how many depends on the different sizes of the anti-gravity generator. And when you enable it, it creates a field that counteracts gravity, which is strongest at its center. That's set at a particular set altitude. Currently, you cannot have it below 1,000 meters altitude, and you need to travel up to that altitude for the anti-gravity generator to really help you. You can define the height of that above 1,000 meters on the element itself. You can set a height. However, that bubble that essentially stabilizes your ship only increases at a rate of 4 meters per second up to the target altitude, then it just holds there. And as your ship enters that altitude bubble, it sort of just negates gravity completely, and it'll just float at the set altitude that you have to find without needing any fuel.
How can I start building right away?
So to build things, you need material known as honeycomb in this is, voxels, I guess. And every market actually has a one-time dispenser with a cheap honeycomb starter kit. You can buy that, and then you get a bunch of material that you can use to start building, to build things, in your outpost construct. After that, use any money that you have to buy material and elements from the market. A lot of players make the mistake of thinking that they need to create everything themselves and, feel obligated to learn industry, to refine their own ores, to build their own honeycombs. But if you just want to build, just go buy the stuff. It's all available on the market. And if you want, you can dismantle the constructs that you already have. You should probably, dismantle the lander. You're not going to need the lander for anything else. So dismantle the lander to get building materials. And the outpost itself is actually fully editable. You may not want to destroy it, but really, just play around with what's there. You can use copy paste or cut paste to rework it, or dismantle the entire thing just for the materials and then build something from scratch.
How long do construct tokens last?
Construct tokens last for approximately 1 hour, and then they're voided. Once voided, you'll just need to create another one to make another transaction with another player, but they're not indefinite. They disappear after about an hour.
How do I purchase more game time on Steam?
To renew your game time on Steam, you'll need to follow different steps. So the first step is to log to your Steam client, and please keep it open. Then log into your Dual Universe account on the game's website. Go to the buy page and choose a subscription. Accept the terms and conditions and confirm. And at this step, you'll be taken to your Steam client directly, where you can pay for your subscription via your Steam wallet. So little advice here, make sure you have sufficient funds on your Steam wallet before this step. And finally, you'll be returned to the Dual Universe website and you can enjoy the game. So you'll find this process described on our Steam page as well, if you need a little reminder. Thank you, and I hope you will have a great time on Dual Universe.
Where do I go to buy ships?
So you want to buy a ship? Well, you can buy things at the UEF store, of course, but many organizations have showrooms that you can visit in VR. You just do a search for showrooms and a whole bunch will show up. You can probably also search for sales and anything like that. There are a lot of places that you can buy things, but just make sure that when you're in VR, you don't actually buy them in VR. You have to go there physically to buy the blueprint or the ship, because when you're in VR, your inventory is temporary. And then on top of that is the player-created website, ducreators.org. And it's full of ships and Voxel libraries and statics that you can buy. They also have a Discord channel that you can join so you can see when the new ships come onto the site.
That's it for today's episode. We hope you've liked it. If you have questions for Ask Aphelia, please do submit them through the form in the description below.
And as always, thank you for being part of our universe.